Axios report says Trump administration is demanding Iran to confirm the Strait of Hormuz is open and halt attacks on commercial ships, with the message delivered directly and through regional mediators. A 26-year-old man arrested on suspicion of murder after former UK Minister Anne Widdecombe found dead with serious injuries at a home in Devon. Police say the incident is not being treated as terrorism. Nigerian troops killed more than 300 members of kidnapping and cattle-rustling gangs during two-day operation in Zamfara state. Armed gangs alongside jihadist groups have long terrorized communities across northern and central Nigeria. Rising tensions between the United States and Iran are driving oil prices higher, increasing the risk of more expensive gasoline. Analysts warn the latest spike could add pressure on consumers already facing higher fuel costs. Spain defeated Belgium 2-1 with Mikel Merino scoring an 88th-minute winner, sending the European champions into the World Cup semi-finals, where they will face France. India has strengthened its strategic footprint in the Indo-Pacific, announcing a major strategic partnership with Australia to deepen bilateral ties. Now, the announcement comes as Prime Minister Modi held key talks with his New Zealand counterpart in Auckland. The high-level meeting comes as both nations seek to deeply cooperate across trade, investment and strategic partnerships, with discussions focused heavily on strengthening Iran-New Zealand bilateral ties and enhancing economic cooperation. The two countries exchanged several memorandums of understanding in the presence of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon. The MOUs are aimed at boosting cooperation across key sectors.
It's a truly historic event, as you and I have talked about last night, marking the first visit by an Indian Prime Minister to New Zealand in 40 years. I think we've made tremendous progress in a very short period of time on the trade agenda. But today's focus is about more than just the FTA. It's about where we go to next in this relationship and how we broaden that out. And I know we have very proud to announce that we will be forming a strategic partnership which will give the relationship more framework and breadth for us to continue to expand as we go forward from here.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi described the India-New Zealand Free Trade Agreement as a historic milestone in bilateral relations and thanked New Zealand Prime Minister Christopher Luxon and his government for concluding the agreement in a short span.
आप जब भारत आए थे और एफटीए के शुरुआत हुई और इतने कम समय में पूरा न्यूजीलैंड एक साथ होकर के एफटीए को जमीन पे उतारना इतने कम शायद ये दुनिया में पहली बार इतने कम समय में ये सफलता हुई होगी और इसके लिए मैं आपके नेतृत्व को, आपकी सरकार को, आपकी टीम को हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। मुझे खुशी है आज हम अपने संबंधों का स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप के सूत्र में बांधने जा रहे हैं। यह माइलस्टोन हमें और अधिक ऊर्जा और अधिक विश्वास के साथ आगे बढ़ने के लिए प्रेरित करेगा।
India and New Zealand signed the landmark free trade agreement in April this year, following negotiations that began in March 2025 and concluded in a record 9 months, making it one of the fastest concluded FTAs. Well, the two leaders earlier held a bilateral meeting in New Delhi on March 17, 2025, and this was during Prime Minister Luxon's official visit to India. Earlier, ahead of the bilateral talks, Prime Minister Modi was given a grand ceremonial welcome. At Government House in Auckland, he was accorded an official guard of honour. Following the bilateral ties, Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended India-New Zealand business event and interacted with leading business representatives in Auckland. Later, he is expected to address a large gathering of the Indian diaspora in the capital, highlighting the strong people-to-people ties between India and New Zealand. All right, moving on, former member of UK Parliament and Reform UK party member Anne Widdecombe was killed at her own residence. The body of the 78-year-old former Conservative minister was found by police with serious injuries at her home in Hayton, a rural village in Dartmoor in Devon. Well, Devon and Cornwall police have confirmed that a 26-year-old British national was arrested on suspicion of murder.
We can confirm that a 26-year-old man was arrested at an address in Newton Abbot this afternoon on suspicion of the murder of Anne Widdecombe. The suspect, who is a white British national, remains in police custody whilst the inquiries continue. Officers were called to Miss Widdecombe's home at Haytor by the ambulance service around 11:40 a.m. on Thursday the 9th of July. Sadly, 78-year-old Miss Widdecombe was located deceased within the property. She has sustained serious injuries. Her next of kin have been informed and are being supported by specially trained officers. Detectives from the Force Major Crime Investigation Team have launched a murder investigation and are conducting extensive inquiries into the circumstances surrounding Miss Widdecombe's death.
The police have further confirmed that they are not treating this incident as an act of terrorism or being politically motivated. They've also initiated a forensic examination while conducting house-to-house and CCTV inquiries.
We work closely with our partners and have consulted counter-terrorism policing as part of our initial inquiries. The incident is not being treated as terrorism. A cordon remains in place at the property while specialist officers continue forensic examinations. There are road closures in place around the scene, and the public will see significant police activity in the area while detectives and other officers continue house-to-house and CCTV inquiries.
UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer called the incident shocking and awful while calling Anne Widdecombe a distinguished politician.
Well, this is really shocking news, and my thoughts, I think all of our thoughts, will be with the family and friends of Anne Widdecombe at this awful time for them. Anne was a distinguished politician over many, many years with many achievements, and it's a huge, huge loss.
Opposition leader Kemi Badenoch also paid her condolences and called the incident horrific and nasty. She also displayed shock at this could happen to a 78-year-old legislator. Listen to this.
I've been stunned to hear this awful news. To be honest, I've really struggled to find the words to say. Anne Widdecombe was a very fun and feisty woman who spoke her mind, and she was 78 years old. She was an elderly woman. I don't understand how someone could do something so horrific to an elderly person. It is a nasty, horrific attack, and my heart is breaking for her family. It's one thing when someone dies, but to know that they've been murdered in this horrible way is just awful.
Well, Widdecombe had a political career spanning over a decade as she served as an MP of Maidstone in Kent for 23 years. She was a Minister of State in John Major's government from 1994 to 1997, serving in the UK Home Office. She was a staunch supporter of the UK's departure from the EU and became a member of the Brexit Party, later which was renamed as the Reform UK Party. Europe's climate alarm is getting louder. A deadly wildfire has ripped through southern Spain. while one of France's most iconic rivers is shrinking. Spain's wildfires claimed 12 lives and 23 people are still unaccounted for. As emergency teams battle the flames across the border, the Loire has turned into a vast sandbank, exposing the scale of Europe's relentless heat. Take a look at this next report for more details.
First came the heat. Then the land began to surrender. Forests turned into fuel. Rivers retreated. The landscape itself started changing shape. Southern Europe is once again confronting the reality of a climate pushed to extremes, where soaring temperatures are no longer isolated events but part of a wider pattern. Spain is at the center of that crisis. A deadly wildfire continues to burn through the province of Almeria, forcing residents to flee as firefighters struggle to contain fast-moving flames driven by intense heat, dry vegetation and shifting winds.
My granddaughter was crying. It was terrible. I almost cried because I had already lived it, and it's a terrible experience, especially because there are elderly people who have a hard time leaving their homes.
Authorities have launched an investigation into what triggered the blaze, which is one of Spain's worst wildfire disasters in recent years. Thousands of hectares have already been scorched.
It appears it may have originated from a power line, and initially, with firefighters responding as it was a verge fire, it ended up spreading very quickly, with very, very strong winds, and all of this at an extraordinary speed.
The crisis does not end at Spain's borders. In France, the Loire, the country's longest river, has dramatically receded during an intense spell of heat. Large stretches that normally carry flowing water have been reduced to exposed sandbanks, creating scenes more commonly associated with drought-stricken deserts than Western Europe. Experts say prolonged high temperatures, reduced rainfall, and increased evaporation have combined to push water levels sharply lower. The shrinking river is disrupting ecosystems, affecting navigation and raising fresh concerns over water security. Scientists have repeatedly warned that climate change is making extreme weather more frequent and more intense across Europe.
The world's brightest minds are becoming the newest battleground in the US-China rivalry, and Beijing may be winning one of the most important contests of all. The race to attract the scientists who will shape the technologies of the future. Now, the latest name to make that shift is Nobel Prize-winning chemist Omar Yaghi. He left the University of California, Berkeley, to join a public research university in Beijing, where he will lead a new institute that uses artificial intelligence to accelerate the discovery of advanced materials. Now, Yaghi, whose pioneering research produced materials capable of storing gases and even harvesting water from desert air, is not an isolated incident. This move reflects a broader trend as top researchers increasingly look beyond the United States. Now, the shift comes as the Trump administration cut research funding, tightened oversight of universities, which is allegedly leading to greater uncertainty for many scientists. While on the contrary, China is reportedly investing billions in research, expanding world-class laboratories and offering generous funding to attract leading global talent. In August 2025, in fact, Chinese officials rolled out a new K visa, which is designed to attract young scientists and innovators from overseas. Reports say at least 85 researchers have already left US institutions since 2024 to take up full-time positions in China. The consequences extend far beyond academia. Experts say the scientists changing laboratories today could determine which country leads tomorrow in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, biotechnology, semiconductors, and new generation defense technologies. Experts warn that the exodus of scientists and researchers from America is not a temporary trend. Rather, it is expected to further accelerate. From Balochistan to Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, Pak Army Chief Asim Munir's forces have brutally targeted dissidents. And now the country's human rights record has been heavily criticized by the European Parliament. WION's Assistant Editor for Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Simpul, explained the key features of its resolution. Now backed by major political groups, including the European People's Party and Renew Europe, the resolution condemned the forced conversion and marriage of 13-year-old Christian girl named Maria Shehbaz from Lahore. While a family claimed that she was kidnapped, forced to convert to Islam and marry her abductor, Pakistan's Federal Constitutional Court upheld her conversion and marriage in March. The European Parliament described the ruling as emblematic of broader failures to protect vulnerable girls from minority communities. Now, as per the Human Rights Office, 80% of these incidents occurred in Sindh province, while 75% of the victims were Hindu. The remaining were Christians. Girls in the age group of 14 to 18 were targeted in particular. The resolution also observed that poverty and marginalization heightens the risk for girls and women. The EU Parliament also flagged other human rights violations in Pakistan, including arbitrary detention and harassment of journalists and civil society members, as well as misuse of blasphemy and anti-terrorism laws. Well, this was a reference to the conviction of Baloch activists such as Dr. Mehrang Baloch. She was sentenced to life imprisonment in a case involving the death of a paramilitary personnel in Gwadar in July 2024. Dr. Baloch is the organizer of a human rights group named Baloch Yagjati Committee. She has been at the forefront of exposing Pakistan's oppression against the Baloch community. The human rights activist has also regularly flagged forced disappearances of people in Balochistan. And in recent years, she has gained international acclaim and was also nominated for the 2025 Nobel Peace Prize. Islamabad's disdain and brutality towards ethnic groups has also been witnessed in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Thousands of supporters of civil society group Joint Awami Action Committee or JAAC have been on a sit-in at Rawalakot Eidgah ground since July 9th. And the protests were originally ignited by the ban on JAAC, which put forth 38 demands, including the abolition of 12 seats in the so-called Legislative Assembly, which are dominated by Pakistanis. However, Munir's forces have responded with brute force, firing bullets and tear gas at innocent protesters. JAC has now declared that it would stage a long march towards Muzaffarabad on July 15th if its demands are not fulfilled by July 14th. Now, crucially, EU Parliament has warned Pakistan that its failure to effectively implement its human rights commitments, they could result in the withdrawal of Pakistan's trade benefits. Argentina and Lionel Messi will continue their quest for a second straight FIFA World Cup title as they face Switzerland in the quarterfinals. Well, Kansas City is the stage for last quarterfinal, and once again the spotlight is on one man. Lionel Messi leads the Golden Boot race with 8 goals, scoring in 8 straight competitive matches. But Argentina's road till the last 8 hasn't been easy. They needed extra time to beat Cape Verde, then trailed Egypt 2-0 in the last 16 with just 12 minutes left on the clock. However, they stormed back to win 3-2, and it was once again Messi who inspired the team. But there was also high drama in that match against Egypt, where several decisions went in Argentina's favour, and the Egypt head coach claimed that FIFA wants Messi and his team to retain the title. FIFA denied any bias, but the focus will be on the referencing decisions against Switzerland. Switzerland are no pushovers. They arrive in the quarterfinals, having beaten higher-ranked Colombia on penalties, and this was in the previous round. It is their first quarterfinals in 72 years. All the pressure is on Argentina, and a Swiss victory would be the greatest result in the country's history. The two teams have faced each other in the World Cup knockout stage recently. Argentina beat the Swiss 1-0 in the round of 16 at the 2014 edition. Angel Di Maria scored the winner in extra time, with Lionel Messi grabbing the assist. And here's a reminder to our viewers in India, you can watch all 2026 FIFA World Cup matches on Z5. England and Norway face off in a blockbuster quarter-final of the 2026 World Cup in Miami. Tune in and catch all the action live. That's all we had for you in this bulletin, but before we slip into a very short break, here's a quick look at the images drawing our attention from around the world. Stay tuned, you're watching WION World is One.
Inside South Asia this week, Sri Lanka jolted by a deadly prison riot, at least 28 people killed. Scrutiny on the island nation's chronically overcrowded jails intensifies. Another year of floods, another year of battle for survival. From Kerala's deadly landslide to Maharashtra and Gujarat monsoon havoc, why are authorities unprepared every year? All this and much more with me, Kripa, on Inside South Asia.
Bringing loved ones back to life. From redefining the sport of Taekwondo to creating a dystopian version of warfare with battlefield robots. AI presents a mirror to humanity. It will do what we ask it to do. Catch both sides of the story on this episode of Tech It Out this week at these times.
In-depth coverage of global issues broken down into facts, figures, and simple words. Backed with analysis from field experts who truly matter, because we believe in decoding the real picture for you. So you get a much wider and deeper understanding of stories from around the world, a 360-degree analysis. An award-winning documentary series, week after week creating the maximum impact. Watch WION Wide Angle at these times on WION World is One. On Wings this week, we try kulfis in New Delhi. And look at how robots replace real elephants in Kerala's temples. We also cover the San Fermin Festival in Spain and a medieval festival in Brussels. Only on WION World is One.
In this rapidly changing world, is your health keeping pace? Best practices and breakthroughs busting the hype with real insights. The timeless power of yoga and ancient healing. Good food, good mood. Small steps, big impact. Your health matters. Only on WION World is One. Because nothing matters more.
The Mini Cooper S will bring zest back into your life. The Mahindra Thar will take you anywhere you like. Some cars exist just to make you feel alive. Turn the key, step on the gas, go-kart around the track, go and climb a rock. Put yourself out there this week.